Morning. So we're starting a new simon today, a very interesting simon. Dvarim ha'asurim b'Shabbos mishum hashmoas kol. So things which are not allowed on Shabbos because of the prohibition of making a noise. Says the Mechaber, hashmoas kol, producing a sound, a noise, b'kli, with a vessel, shir, with a musical instrument. Also, you're not allowed to play a musical instrument on Shabbos. Now again, it's a drabanan. What's wrong with playing the piano, playing the guitar or whatever? You're not doing any melacha. So it's a problem of, you might come to Masakan, you might, if a string breaks or something breaks, you might come to fix it, which would involve a melacha. This is a drabanan. So hashmoas kol b'kli shir is also playing a musical instrument which produces a noise, a sound is also avlahakish ala deles, but to knock on the door v'chiyetzi bazeh kasheina derech shir muta, that would be okay. So it doesn't, so just knocking on the door and that produces a sound, that is not caught by this. So let's just do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Lav dafka sif aleph, sif cotton aleph, lav dafka b'kli shir ela af biyad kagoin lahakas kaf al kaf, to sort of clap. Heichashu derech simcha b'shir is also caught by this. That's also asa. Kamesha kosa b'siman shin lamates sif gimel, which is the next simon. Mitam shemi yisakin kli shir, because you might come to clapping would also be caught by this. You might come to fix a musical instrument. Now, if you look at footnote number 1, important point of his manenu. Nowadays, she'ein onu b'kiyim ba'asiyas kli. We're not really experts, right? Yesterday in our house we've got a piano, Baruch Hashem, the kids play the piano, so we got a guy in to fix the piano and to tune it, and so that's an expert. We're not boki in asiyas kli. Kosu v'be'halacha lekamon in the next simon she'af shemachmas zeh noagu lehokel limchei kapayim. Even though nowadays we're generally makel and we allow clapping hands on Shabbos, but that's all we allow. We allow clapping, but not to play musical instruments on Shabbos. Because of al-pi Mishnah Berurah lekamon shedavka b'simchas Torah mutar limchei kaf v'lirkoid b'shasha omrim kilusin l'Torah mishum kavod Torah. Dafka on Simchas Torah, that's when we clap and we dance, and that's when it's allowed. Avol b'shas simcha shel mitzvah also lirkei l'rakei l'tapeach. You're not allowed to dance and to clap. But those who do clap on other situations, it's okay. But the other times, then it's not kedai. So that's the general situation. The Masakin Klishir is always going to stay also, but regarding clapping and things like that, so the Bi'alacha says on Simchas Torah, L'dvar Mitzvah, it would be okay. And those who do it on other occasions, the minhag is to be makel, and we don't have to protest against them. Okay, let's carry on the Mishnah Berurah. The second line there. Those who have the practice, who clap in order to scare away the birds, that they shouldn't pick your fruits, even though you're not doing it for any musical purpose. There the reason is a bit different, because if they allow you to clap to shoo away the birds when they might eat your fruits, there the concern is that you might come to pull off a branch to throw at the birds to chew them away. So it's a separate concern. If you want to clap to play with a child or to silence him or just to engage a child, it seems that it should be allowed kalachayad. In other words, you see people do that. They clap with a shinu like that. Or commotion mevusham. V'im in mind bekli mole nekovim lahatif letoich kli matches kadei lahashmiya kol noim aledei had netifa. There's some sort of musical instrument where you pour water in and there are holes. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like. Also, that is also. That's ultimately a musical instrument. However, if it's to put a person to sleep, it's like some sort of I don't know exactly what, but it plays some sort of noise, that would be allowed. If you want to bang to wake up a person, shari, that's also allowed. That's not considered musical instruments. You're not doing it sweetly and pleasantly. The kol kazeh adarabah himardim yoseh. because this sort of noise will actually get him to fall deeper into sleep. On the contrary, you're doing it very loudly, they know that he'll wake up, and therefore it's allowed. Okay, and then the Mechaber says, lahakish ala deles, to bang on a door, and similar is Eina derech shir, and therefore it's mutter. Says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Base, even though your kavana is to produce a sound when you're banging on the door, you want people to answer the door, which is mutter. Even if you do it with a kli, kiven she'eina derech shir, that would be allowed. Okay, let's go weiter now in the Ramah. V'chein, I'm top line there. V'chein, im lo yavid ma'aser shari. Similarly, if you didn't do a ma'aser, that would be allowed. V'lochein, elu shekorin lechavreihem u'metzaftesim befihem k'moi tzipor, whistling on Shabbos. Those people who call their friends by whistling to them, mutzah la'asoisa b'Shabbos, you're allowed to whistle on Shabbos. Says the Mishnah Berurah. Let's just stop there for them to do the Mishnah Berurah. Elu shekorin lechavreihem hainu afilu im manim hakol ke'ein shir. Even if you do a pleasant song, if you like, through the whistle, shari, that would be allowed. Because Chazal will not geyser if you doing this. I remember the first time I came across this halacha, I was quite surprised. That I thought whistling would be also, but because Esav, right? As kids, we were never allowed to whistle because Esav, right? Esav whistled. But take a look in footnote number 4. Even if you're a professional whistler, you're a really good one, you can put your fingers in your mouth. You can picture it. Even that is allowed. Because you're not using an instrument, ultimately you're using your mouth. And you're only putting the fingers in your mouth. I don't know how to do it. That you can whistle loudly or effectively. Now, this is the Orach Shabbos quotes this. It's best not to do this during the week, even during the week. Because it's considered pritzus. I remember as kids we were never allowed to whistle or whatever. Wherever we did, they didn't stop us, but if we did, they would say Esav. I don't know where that comes from. Esav whistles. I don't know. I've got no idea. I don't know. You heard that before, Chaim? Yeah. Okay. Alright, so Esav. Yeah. So, but the bottom line is that whistling on Shabbos, even putting your fingers in your mouth to make a very powerful whistle, is allowed. Okay, weiter. Have we done? Yeah, now let's just Sif Kotzen Daled. So, Meyuchad Lekach. So, even if the Ramah says, even if you've got what's this going on? Oh, we haven't done that yet. Okay, weiter in the Ramah. Yeah, second line. V'asa lahakis b'Shabbos, yeah? V'asa lahakis b'Shabbos ala deles b'tabas hakavur b'deles. If you've got like a ring or something in the door, and to use that to knock on the door, says the Ramah, you should not do that. V'afa pisha ein mechaven l'shir. You're not intending to play any music, you're just knocking on the door. Mikol mokum hoel v'akli miyuchad lekach, it's also, since it's designated to make a noise, it's also. And v'lochein, and therefore, says the Ramah, also l'shamesh lahakis ala deles. It's also for a shamas, the shul shamas, to knock on the door. Likrei lebeis hakneses, to call people for shul. Al yidei hakli hamiyuchad lekach. That was their job, like the vekah to go around and to wake people up for slichas and to shul and things like that. So on Shabbos to do that is a problem. Instead of using the metal, the ring or whatever's on the door, use your hand and just knock on the door. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah Sif Cotton Daled, meyuchad lekach rotzolema shem meyuchad lashmiya kol. It's designated to make that noise. Chashin shem yichaven l'shir, because the problem is you might do it, and people do it sometimes. People will start playing musical noises on that, and therefore you might come to be mechaven l'shir. For kolshkein lashmiya kol b'kli, and so too playing music with a kli shekerin kama what is that? Mazleg matechet on mashamish lekvias. It's a fine tune. What's it called? A tuner. You sometimes hear that. A tuning fork. Pshita da osa. That is not allowed. Sometimes you have seen that in various places. It's a klishehu. For gam hu mechaven a shen. You're on the contrary. You're trying to get a share of a barzal shah pesach ninal v'niftach boy. And if you've got some sort of metal where things open and shut, near the mutal lahakish ba'aladeles kadei shishma anshi habas iftach loy shezeh barzal miyuchad rak niftach boy sadeles elinal. That's for opening and closing the door. Okay. hey, Sif Cotton hey. Also, I'm Be'eli Rabbi Primagodim. The Mizen Nishma Du Adin, the also Limshech Bachut Ha'inbal B'Shabbos, Kadesh Yishma Anshe Abayis V'Achot Zavif Tukulei. In other words, you've got like a little clapper in a bell. Imagine an old-fashioned bell, and you ring the clapper inside the bell. That will alert people that there's somebody at the door. Shezeh Klim Yuchad Lashmiya Kol, because ultimately that is to make a noise. And that is your intention, and therefore you should not be using a bell on Shabbos. So something like the old-fashioned shops. So if you open the door and that rings a bell, you're allowed to use that sort of door on Shabbos. We're going to see in a minute. Also, a shamus should not be banging on the door using the metal ring on the door, because that could be a problem of hashmos kol with the kli. Says the Mishnah Berurah, Kosav Ataz, Sif Kotzen Vov, Kosav Ataz Kan of Yerdeh. This is a famous halacha. The Mizeh Muchach, the Osa Litlis B'Shabbos, Oisen HaParoiches, Sheyesh Ben Pa'amonim. You shouldn't put bells on the Paroiches of the Aron HaKodesh, Lashmiya Kol, which will make a noise, because you're Poschin Ha'aron. When you open the Aron HaKodesh, you're going to pull the curtain or open the door, and that will engage the bell, and it will ring and make a noise. And so too, that sometimes you have bells on the Atzei Chaim which decorate the Sefer Torah. So the Taz famously says that you should avoid having bells on Atzei Chaim on Sifrei Torah. Dafka recently, I was in a shul Simchas Torah, and I was talking on the side that Simchas Torah is a time where you bring out the Sefer Torah, and there was and you heard the little bell go, and I turned around and I saw it was a Sefer Torah, so I stood up and I said to the person I was talking to, I said that is one of the reasons why they put the bells on the Sefer Torah, to alert people. It's not only for decoration, but it's also to alert people to stand up, because there's a Sefer Torah being moved, and therefore because of that, because it's made Lavid Kol, the Taz says that it's better not to have a bell on the Atzei Chaim decorating a Sefer Torah. However, V'hashach Sham Chaylekalov, the Shach argues, because Lamaisa, you do see it. You see many shuls have these decorative Atzei Chaim. The Shach is Chaylek on the Taz, Mitam, Torkaim and L'tzorech Mitzvah Shari. Because if it's L'tzorech Mitzvah, the whole thing is a Drabonin, right? And therefore, L'tzorech Mitzvah, we allow it. You're allowed, even though dancing is caught by by various takonas chazal. Nevertheless, the tzorech mitzvah l'kovod Torah it's allowed. Also, too over here says the shach. V'hochanami tzorech mitzvah kadei sheyishmu ha'am v'yokumu. People will hear that there's a Sefer Torah in transit being moved, and therefore people should stand. V'lo domi lekriyas beis hakneses. The also is not the same as the shamash going around knocking on doors, telling you to come to shul. The also efsheh ben yinache, because there, excuse me, there you can just knock on the door. You don't have to knock with the ringer. With a round metal bar, you can just knock on the door straight. And furthermore, the guy opening the paroiches is not doing it as a kavona to make a noise. Klal kiyim little Sefer Torah. He just wants to access the Sefer Torah. Okay, now if you look at number 8, have I got it? Where's number 8? Yeah, it's actually at the back. Oh no, it's on the next page. 8 is on the next page, the bottom there. He makes an important point. The little bells, which you sometimes adorn a Sefer Torah, so we've just mentioned the Machlekes Shach and Taz. The Taz says that you shouldn't have bells on Sefer Torah. The Shach says it's okay, lekavod mitzvah, etc. That Machlekes is only with a larger bell, with big ones. But if you've got little bells, sometimes it's on the actual, on the crown of a Sefer Torah or something like that. Little bells, everyone agree would be okay. It's a very, very faint noise, and it's not really a musical instrument. It's more decorative than to make a noise. Only slightly larger bells, which make more of a sound. Okay, let's go back to the Mishnah Berurah. We are up to Va'ayim B'Shai Ephraim. Right? V'ayim B'Shai Ephraim, Sha'ar Yud Si'if Gimel. Shadai Tisham de Lechatchila Ein Lasses Kein B'Shabbos. And Lechatchila, you shouldn't have this Pareiches, which has got bells on it on Shabbos. And those people who are makel and have a minute to do it, you don't have to protest against them. Their Magen Avraham ultimately allows it. Ad kan l'shonei. V'chein le'inyan im mutar liftach hadeles k'shedeh b'sheyesh bo inbal. And so too, the old-fashioned grocery stores, when you open the door and then a bell is triggered. Again, this is subject to Bav Machlikas. According to the Taz, you should avoid it, and according to the Magen Avram, it'd be okay because that's not your intention. The Taz also the Magen Avram can besim came besim shinav sif cotton lamed hey ein sham shari will be allowed. Your intention is not to play music. Or to kiven ta inbal meyuchat, since the bell is designated for this purpose. Lashmiya kol einaf kamina b'mashu ein mechaven azeh. It doesn't make a difference if that's not your intention. V'gam be'el yerabah metzad ein lahakel mitam zeh lechud and legabe pereiches to milsa the mitzvah. He only is mekel when it comes to a pereiches, which is of course from mitzvah. V'al kein bevadei nochem sheyosem erev Shabbos ha'inbal me'al gabe ha'pesach. If you've got a door which triggers a bell when you open it, you should certainly try and remove the clapper inside the bell, so you won't make a noise on Shabbos. Or you stop it up, you put some material there that it won't ring. In an extenuating circumstance, you forgot to remove the clapper or to stop it up. You can be relying on the Magen Avraham, who is mekel, that your intention is not lahashmiya kol, and therefore it would be okay. Al yedei kli hamyuchad v'yesh mekoyim shelokech hashamesh b'Shabbos kli acher lahakos b'Shabbos. So we said that it's the Ramah says also l'shamesh lahakos on the deles, to use that metal ring to knock on the thing because it's miyuchad lekach. So says the Mishnah Berurah, v'yesh mekom shelokech hashamesh b'Shabbos kli acher. He takes like some sort of metal instrument, I guess as an eruv, lahakos b'Shabbos, to bang on Shabbos, u'ma shemakeh hashamas bezaknez ala shulchan. Lashmiya kol k'dei lahashke ta'am lachazor sashatz. Right, nothing's changed. Huh? So the gab is banging on the table to get quiet during chazor sashatz. Ein bezeh issa afilu im hu makeh be'ezeh dova. It's not a problem. There's no issa there. That's not hashmas kol. That's just getting people's attention to tell them to be quiet. Kiven she'ein makeh be'kli miyuchad lezeh. And therefore, to bang on the table or to make some sort of noise would be okay. On the glass, yeah, I'm never sure about that because it's just to make a bit of. It's the same as this, really. Yeah. I guess you could say that there it's chazor sashas. They should be quiet, etc. But to hear the drosha on the Sheva brachas or the Graman or whatever, okay, it could be a dvar mitzvah as well. What?
It's not kli b'yochid lekach.
Yeah, true.
It's like not the share either.
What's that?
It's not for a share either.
It's not share. That's not true. Yeah. So the Eilim does it. Okay. So what have we said? So hashmas kol is a takona, is a gezer drabonon. You might become to be masakin share, and therefore, but to be makish on a door, to bang on a door is not a problem. However, the Ramah says that if it's a designated metal or some instrument which makes a noise, you should not do that. You should better just bang on the door, bells on Shabbos on the Sefer Torah is machlikas the Taz and the Shach, but that's specifically for larger bells. But smaller bells is actually not a problem. I think we've got time to do base. We've got 5 minutes. It's quite a short one.